The scourge of foxtail. This food plot got overtaken by foxtail. It kind of snuck up on the landowner in the middle of the summer. You can see we had sorghum, brassicas, soybeans, cowpeas. That's all still in there, but it's way overshadowed by this foxtail. Now over on this side, he sprayed that a couple days ago, and today what I decided to do is go ahead and drill right through everything and mow it. So he's going to come over with the mower. Meanwhile, Delmar's getting started on that end of the field, and then he'll mow ahead of the seed drill. Now these soybeans, some of them will get squashed, but a lot of them will still stay alive, and that's no problem. The soybeans will continue to feed deer until the middle of October, and then my winter food plot will start coming on strong then. So it should work out pretty good. But next year we'll probably put pursuit on here and plant nothing but legumes, like a real thick stand of soybeans and cowpeas, maybe some sun hemp. Really get a nice canopy on here, and use a legume specific herbicide that is residual, so this stuff doesn't take off in the middle of the summer. A lot of ragweed going to seed here. So yeah, we'll live and learn. This landowner is just getting started with this food plot program, and you know, I can't be here every day to watch everything, so sometimes you just have to let people learn the hard way. So next year we'll do things a little more different. Some of this is controlled by a tenant farmer, and we're going to wean that farmer off of this place completely so that we have 15 acres of fields to work with. So we can put warm season crops, cool season crops, and we can put some candy crops down. Keep those deer coming 365 days out of the year. There's big bucks using this. There's 2 book bucks on this property now feeding in these fields, and there's probably 8 or 10 younger bucks, 2.5-year-old 8-pointers, and we'll keep pounding the food into them. My goal here is to have the landowner take a Pope and Young off of here every year, and I'd like to see if we can grow a 200-pound buck in Pennsylvania. Not easy to do, but that's going to be my goal here, because I have a landowner that's down with the program. All right, let's go over and see what Delmar's up to. Delmar's using an Ash no-till drill. It's got fluted coulters on the front and seat openers, and then he's got packing wheels in the back. So it's on 7-inch rows, and it does a good job of really chopping things down. That's a nice looking sun hemp. That thing is I don't know, almost 5 feet tall. Now this area got sprayed heavy, so all of this is going to die. This got sprayed with glyphosate. I could smell the glyphosate in here. But this will fizzle out here in a couple of weeks. This will all be dead, and we'll be able to start this new fall, winter, spring mix. Over there is a really good spot. Bucks come up out of that thick woods down there. One of the target bucks shows up here in the evening. Now these deer have never seen sun hemp before, but I see that they nipped this one off. But they aren't really hitting it. There's just so much chow in here. I mean, we planted about 5 acres of good food, and there's probably 25 deer or so using these fields. and you know, there's a good strong stand of soybeans down in there. Alright, so he's got his mower set at about 10 inches, which I think is pretty good because we're going to expose a lot of soybeans. Not too many right in here, but now Delmer will be able to drill right through that. And with the seed drill that he has, even though there's a heavy duff layer where the mower, you hear me preaching about how not to use rotary mowers. This is why, because there's too thick of a mat there. But if you have a high quality seed drill, you can, the coulters in the front are going to open that up and get the seed down to the soil. And it should dry down here in September. It's not even September yet, it's at the end of August. September is usually a very dry month here in Pennsylvania, so that should dry down and lighten up a lot, and the seeds should be able to come up through there. We have winter peas, wheat, brassicas. The brassicas might struggle a little bit, but that's okay. And you know, the wheat and the winter peas are going to come up out of there, no problem. And then we have clover that will start this fall, and then it'll take off real strong next spring. So it should be able to get up through there. Crimson and Balanza are in my mix. Alright, so let's see how well that's cutting through. You can see how it sort of pins a lot of green down, but it also chops it up a little too. I see a couple seeds on the surface. I'm thinking that'll come up through that duff fairly well. We'll find out here in about a month, but this looks pretty good so far. Tree stand going in up there, be able to cover this whole thing. And there's another field over there that you can cover both. I just got a text while I was recording this that another client of mine that is down in the CWD area found 7 dead deer on his place, which is really a shame. You guys that are killing deer in CWD areas, feeding deer, don't move those deer. Make sure that the skull and the spinal cord get put in a garbage bag and put in a landfill. Take it out to the trash and make sure it gets into the landfill. Don't leave carcasses or bones out in the field. Just a side note. Sunflowers are a great addition to any summer food plot. Look at the way the deer chewed this one down. Pretty much demolished it. If you have a lot of deer, it's hard to get sunflowers to grow, but we've got some that are going to flower, and these are all about to start flowering, and there'll be a nice yellow field of sunflowers here. And then once they make seeds, just about everything eats sunflower seeds. You get deer eating them. Most likely a bear will show up here and start just nipping these off and eating them. So if you have room for them, or if you want to put them in a mix, it's a good addition to the summer food plot planting. I had some in the field that I showed you before. The problem is there that early in the spring, the deer key in on them and they just eat them right up, and then they don't compete very well either. So it's tough in a mix. I still haven't adjusted my sunflowers correctly. I'm going to talk to the guys at Green Cover Seed and see if maybe I can make some adjustments so that I could get more sunflowers to make it. I think what happened here was these were planted in July. My early spring planted summer food plot did not do well, partly because of the drought, and there's a lot of deer pressure. But that's a good stand of sunflowers. Looks good. Plenty of chow. It's nice to have the room for it. All right, so what we're standing in here is basically a clover patch, and a lot of deer bed down below here in a swamp, and they come up this way to feed. So this is the first stop to get some good chow in the evening. So what Dan did, it all kind of looked like this with the autumn olive and brush and some crappy trees. So he reclaimed this strip, and then what did you do there, Dan?
Yeah, so this strip had been overgrown with brush and trees that had hung over out of the line fence. No one taking care of it in probably 2 decades. This whole bottom area here was just grass, and the farmer couldn't even come down and do anything with it because he said it was too swampy. So we kind of took it over, sprayed it, put clover in. The clover's coming in pretty strong, and now we're putting in some other plantings. But I reclaimed this over the winter time, knocked everything back, cut it down, and so now we've got a strip that's probably 20-25 feet wide that is now going to be chow for the deer. It was never any good. The bushes that were here did not benefit them at all. It was a little bit of cover, but now it's going to be food. And as you can see, my blind is right there, and last year it was a very productive site, put it that way.
So what I'm thinking of what we should do is maybe get some switchgrass, a couple lines of switchgrass, so you can get into this stand.
I'll get into it from there.
Just sneak down over the hill there.
Yeah.
And climb in.
I mean, this way's north.
Yeah.
So I sneak in from my house along the top of the field there, where the road's there, so deer aren't there anyway. And I'll come straight down, so from north to south, and prevailing wind is west. I can sneak in, jump in, and what's nice is the deer are in the swampy thicket over there in my woods, and they come this way to feed, so they're kind of traveling with the west wind. And when I do it that way, I am pretty much
they never bust you in that stand.
I'm invisible to them, because the only time they could get me is if they get around behind you. There's nothing behind me that they want to really get into. They're either going to head this way to be in the clover, maybe head over there, but they're heading generally this direction where all the rest of our plantings are. So they're coming up through, hit the water bucket, and then they'll work their way this way. So if I come in and out this way, I'm essentially invisible. They never know that I'm here or have been here. And,
do you get a lot of traffic at the water hole?
Every deer, turkey, and bear that I see in the stand or on video or on my camera all go by that water. I don't know if the water's helping. They do stop and get a drink there, but everything travels around that outside corner. It was very thick in there to begin with, and then when I took all this brush out, I piled it up in there, so the deer and the turkeys and bears have to go around it. And it's a little outside corner, but they always go right around it.
Now you got a chip shot from the stand.
It's only 24 yards to the edge if they're that far away, but most of the time they're within 15.
So we're putting the fall food plot mix in here. This soil, it wasn't rental farmed, so it looks a hell of a lot better than stuff that's up on top of the hill. I think, all the years and years that they farmed and plowed everything, the soil tends to work its way downhill. So we're down in a bottom here, and look how nice that soil is. That's some good stuff. So I'm expecting that to come flying out of the ground and be pretty lush. Should be good.
Check out all the pollinators.
I know.
They love those flowers.
I know. A lot of moths right now. So, Dan, who's the greatest forester in Pennsylvania?
Oh, it's got to be Steve Chilcote.
Yeah.
Got to be.
Right answer.
Hands down.
Right answer.